to the official Tiny Cinema YouTube channel. I'm Adam Levine. This is a place that's going to make you feel weird. I can promise you that. You may laugh, you may get upset or offended.
I'm here for the beat-off competition?
Don't worry, it's all part of the Tiny Cinema experience. You see, this is a place where we don't believe in dreams. We live in nightmares. You understand?
This is our alliteration.
You look like Anne Frank.
Asshole.
Shabby chic, huh?
There's cum in my drink.
You fucked a dog?
Okay.
I'm coming. This will only hurt for a second.
Am I right?
This is going to be so much fun. Let's get started, huh? It begins right now. My name is Tyler Cornack. I co-wrote and directed and unfortunately starred in Butt Boy.
It is kind of a, you kind of hope that you never get typecast with that role, right?
No. I mean, to be honest, I didn't even want to play the role, but it just made the most sense. It was based on a comedy sketch we did, and I was in the comedy sketch, and I'm never doing that again. It was fun. It was fun at times, but I like being behind the camera much more, so.
Nice. It's interesting too because a lot of the actors that were involved in this were involved in your comedy sketch show as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we wrote a lot of the stuff for people that we knew just because we can get our hands on them and get the most bang for our buck, if that makes any sense. So
sure. Yeah, you know what's really interesting that I was surprised to read was that you really wanted this to be kind of tongue in cheek. Kind of a joke, but then it turned on you as you were filming and kind of, I could ask easily what you think the biggest misconception people would have in reading the synopsis and of this movie. But really for you, there was a metamorphosis as well, and kind of talk about that and how that came about. And
yeah. I think there was always a sense that we wanted it to be somewhat serious and playing it straight. Obviously, that was in the script, but there was a bunch of things that happened during filming where we shot. I think we cut out 6 scenes of this movie they were just too funny. They were too ridiculous, and it kind of took you out of the narrative of trying something more experimental in the sense of just something you haven't seen, where something's played so straight and stays true to that. And we found that. The crew of people I made it with, we all have very similar sensibilities when it comes to stuff like this. And we thought the more we played it straight, knowing where the ending went and where it landed, the funnier it would ultimately be. As you can see, we have a very twisted sense of humor. But I think the more we did it, it just became about staying true to the bit and staying true to staying as dry as we could and straight as we could and paying homage to all the movies that we love from the 80s and in the 70s and all of that stuff and just kind of make it a movie lover's experience, I guess.
I got the sense that the diner scene was an homage to Heat.
Oh, that's all we talked about leading up to it. We're very proud of that. We talked about that nonstop, and yeah, it was taking it, having our colors bleed into that scene, but having it be a definite homage to Heat. And, the monologue, the Heat could be right around the corner. It was all about that. That's all we talked about. So
you're somebody who has done productions where you're really been a one-man gang for the most part in most of the things that you've done. I mean, you've edited it, you shot it, you and directed it. And we'll talk a little bit about the collaboration aspect here in a second, but really doing this as being the lead and the director on a bigger scale production, what did you learn about that process that you hadn't, figured out in previous projects where you were doing the same?
Well, I think that there was a lot learned, but there was also a lot I knew going into it because of previous things. I knew that I needed to be very prepared on the technical side. Storyboarding was a huge part of it. We storyboarded the entire movie with still photography, and I had a big binder. I did these printouts of photos I took. Luckily we were able to go to the locations beforehand. As low budget as we were, I just tried to take advantage of that as much as I could. So Ryan, who I co-wrote the film with, the storyboards are literally it's him and I and Austin, who actually edited the movie. We would go to the locations. I would take stills of them being every character in the movie, and then that was printed in a big booklet. So pre-production, it was a huge thing to know that I knew that I was going to have to act, and I knew I wasn't going to be a fan of it every day having to do it, and I wasn't, but I was prepared as I could be throughout. Things that took me by surprise, it was really just getting hit, and this comes with the territory of directing anything. It's constant curveballs and constant questions being thrown at you left and right. That combined with just trying to focus on performing to the best of my abilities as an actor, and then handling all those questions as a director being thrown at me 24/7 was a lot. But there's a sick part of me that, that's why I loved it. I loved every second of it. It's exhausting, but it's great. So
What did you enjoy about the collaboration aspect of this? Because this is the first time that you've really had a solid giant, it wasn't a giant crew, but you had some crew people and things like that to do this production.
no, it was great. I mean, it was great. It's we've been out here in LA, I've been with the same crew of people that was a little bit smaller for years, and we always have wanted to expand it, and we did. And through that, we made so many new friends, and it was the best collaboration experience I've ever had. Everybody was so into the material. Everybody was just the most hardcore movie lover, from the sound. Literally everybody who worked on it was they're obsessed with movies. So we had a blast doing it. We laughed the entire time, and it was great to get perspective from people, particularly with editing. Austin Lewis, he was somebody we found through our online content online, and he just did an incredible job. And I come from an editing background, but it was really nice to be able to get a new perspective on it and let him do his thing, and then just come in and sit in the co-pilot seat for the editing process. That was a very scary thing for me up front, because I'm a little bit of a control freak when it comes to editing. But once I realized I could be there with him, he just did such an amazing job and brought a whole new angle to it that I look forward to keep on doing for future stuff. So
Was a lot of there's not a ton of pans and cutting and driving in. There's not a lot of that. If there's not a lot of pull focus in this film, which is interesting because you're using an Aria camera.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of great like two shots and setup shots and then straight cuts. And I'm kind of curious, was that the idea going in, or did you guys, because of the camera you were using, you figured out that this camera has that kind of versatility to it, that it can provide that? And was it because you were trying to get that kind of film look that you used a lot of those shots that way?
Yeah, I mean, that camera is amazing. That camera can do everything. You can get so many different looks out of it, and we've been using it for quite a bit. We had access to it for a while, so yeah, I think it was about the story. The stillness of it was about kind of being in Chip's mindset, and then of course Tobias Harbo, shout out to him. He's the Steadicam operator. That brought new things. So when we would set that up, it would be like, oh, we could have a little bit of movement here and there. But the stillness and the framing like that really just came from, I think, just the way we wanted the movie to feel, just being very still and kind of catatonic, and all that stuff.
Based, right?
Tension, yeah. Yeah, totally. And I can't speak highly enough about that camera. I'm just crazy about it. I never want to shoot on anything else. So it's just so convenient and looks so great. And you can get 5 different looks for every setup. I mean, even in post with the color grading, you can just do so many different things with it. It's just a great camera. So.
And talk about the lighting concept, because this is very interesting too. There, the thing that I found very fascinating, and it could be just reading a lot into it, but the tones of this film you seem to want to capture a noir feeling whenever there was like this suspect aspect of it, and then when you were into Chip's head a lot, it was more, there was lighter colors, there was more brightness to it. Was that a design that you guys came up with right away, and why did you go with that kind of idea? Yeah,
it was intentional. Yeah, the night stuff, we wanted to feel like a lot of movies that we all love. Like just that old, anything gritty from the 70s. It almost feels like there's not enough light, but it's that dark, raunchy, almost like I can name so many movies right now, but yeah, that was definitely a conscious thought. And then with Chip, it was more about just experiencing the brightness and all of that stuff, and the teal and all of that was just to showcase suburbia and his lifestyle, and just how it felt in contrast. And again, if you break it down, you have Chip's bright, kind of flat. A lot of the house stuff is shot kind of flat, where that's kind of what his life felt like. And the night gritty stuff is kind of the detective's area, and that kind of represents him. So you have those two next to each other. Definitely a conscious thing. I'm so glad you said it came across. I've heard a few other people say that, but and it's always great to hear. So I'm glad that came across.
I want to talk about Tyler Rice for a moment, and the performance that he gives is just absolutely sells this entire film.
He's great, right?
It's so amazing. And the contrast between the two of you working off of each other was just, it was like a ticking time bomb kind of idea.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. That's what we were going for.
I mean, you've collaborated with him before, so you had this trust with him. So talk about that and give us some idea of what he gave to this performance that wasn't there originally.
Okay, yeah. So Tyler puts 110% into everything that he does, even if it's outside of acting. If you throw anything his way, at one point we started this parody band, and we were just doing gigs around LA just to experiment and be weird. And he can learn an instrument if you give it to him. It's just crazy how much he puts into everything, on top of being an amazing actor. So we wrote the whole screenplay with him in mind. So we knew that character was going to be him the entire time. It wasn't like we casted it. It was made and crafted to him, and he brought so much more to it. And I knew that he was going to bring the heart and everything that he does so well into the role. But you never know exactly what that's going to look like. But I was just so pleasantly surprised. And actually, the Blu-ray, we do the whole special features of how we kind of made the movie for the budget that we had. Mm-hmm. And in there is the rehearsals. Him and I would rehearse a lot at different apartments, and just particularly the bigger scenes like the diner, and when he's questioning me in the office. And you can see in those rehearsals it's a completely different thing that he's doing of how it ends up being in the movie. You can see he's just trying to kind of figure it out and find it. And I always love that stuff. And he just did such a great job by the time it was done. The goatee went such a long way with him. Like, it really, that was its own character. We almost gave it a name in the movie. It had a mind of its own. I think that really went a long way for him. And hopefully it comes across in the diner scene. These guys are just completely different people. And, I was playing it very straight and monotone, and he was this almost cartoony, cliched detective, but brought so much originality to it. And they couldn't have less in common. And that was kind of the whole point. So what do you do?
Detective.
You look like every detective ever.
Oh, yes? Ow.
Just get the greasy hair and the earring. Looks good. You look good.
What about you?
What?
What do you do?
Potential tragedy strikes Critica County today, as law enforcement have yet to make any headway on the missing child that vanished from Kathman Park this morning.
So you're asking me to go off this theory you got about a white married male who happens to be a father living in the suburbs of Critica County, who also happens to be your AA sponsor, has been secretly running around, cramming objects, animals, and children up his ass. Then he somehow digests them, and he does this in sprees, almost in serial killer fashion. Is that about it?
Uh-huh.
What would you say to a filmmaker who has a high concept like this? How is the best way for them to approach that?
Don't do it. No, I'm just kidding. I would say you just do it, and don't listen to all the voices that say not to. I mean, we'd still take a lot of flack, even from doing our comedy videos back in the day. We took a lot of flack for that because we all come from film backgrounds, and the people that are working here, it's a cliche to say, but like there's always going to be people that are telling you it's not good or don't do it. And I think the key is, don't wait for the circumstances to be right. If you have something you want to do, just get a crew of people that feel the same way. There's so many people out there that do. There's so many people that want to do that. And sometimes you have to encourage them to do it and push them and just go out and do it. And, get an audience reaction, listen to people, and just do what you enjoy seeing. And I mean, I'm still in the middle of figuring all this out myself, so I don't want to be too preachy, but that's the advice I would give. And don't be afraid of guerrilla filmmaking. Embrace guerrilla filmmaking if you have to, and do what you have to do.
Tell everybody where they can check out the film. Where is the best place that you'd like them to go see this film?
I would say go to Amazon. That seems to be the main hub. You can rent or buy it there. We're on iTunes, Fandango, Google Play, Xbox, PlayStation. You can buy the Blu-ray if you want to see the special features. That's at epicpictures.com. And you can just go there and buy it there. And there's a bunch of other places too, but I can't remember. But Amazon is the place to go in my book. So